All right. What is going on, everybody? Sorry for a little bit of a delay, but the Xbox 2 podcast is now live. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us today on YouTube. I'm one of your hosts, Randall Thor 19, and with me, as always, Jez Corden from Windows Central, my good friend. What is going on, dude?
Hey pal, not much. Playing games, chilling. Had a pretty pleasant week this week. No major upsets or controversy so
Controversy?
far. Yeah, we'll probably talk about that later. But yeah, it's been a pretty good day. Pretty good day. Pretty buzzing. How about you, man? How are you doing, me
I'm
old
doing pretty
pal?
good. I was up early because I didn't sleep well. And sorry we didn't do the podcast yesterday. Jez had a similar problem to me where he
Yes.
couldn't sleep, but we still try to do it whenever we can. I watched you and Roby stream a little bit today in Monster Hunter, but for the 30 minutes I watched, you didn't hunt any monsters.
Was it really that long?
It's damn well seemed like it, yes.
Yeah, it was a chill stream. Well, we only really put the huge effort in when we featured. But we feature tomorrow, so I've got a pirate cosplay for streaming tomorrow for streaming Sea of Thieves. So that should be fun. But
Oh, definitely.
I love Monster. The Monster Hunter is just the game that keeps on giving. I've been playing it for 100 hours. And I'm still finding new stuff out. It's a crazy game. So good. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for joining, guys. We have a pretty good show lined up for you. Obviously, we'll be talking a lot about Inside Xbox, the second episode, what they announced there, like the BC list that everybody seems to be pretty excited about. Red Dead being in 4K. Talk about God of War review scores, which dropped today, and the fact that Jez has finally moved over to the dark side, apparently. Uh,
Yeah.
the last holdout, but I mean, the beard recognizes beard, right?
Dude, when I first saw Kratos' beard, I knew eventually I'd get a PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Is that a weird reason to buy a console for? Maybe.
I
But
mean,
that's
but
my reason.
you
It's
do
my
love
reason.
violence. Gears of War, cutting people up with chainsaws, and you and Kratos have a lot in common. You guys like to dispatch your enemies in very creative ways.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly what you just said, I think.
That's right. So someone says
Uh,
they can't hear anything. Let us know if you guys can hear us. I think you should. Let me just unmute it for a second. Yeah, okay, I can hear. So just refresh the browser. So yeah, we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, and but first, as always, we're gonna get into the games we've been playing this week since last time. I already know Jez is gonna be talking about Monster Hunter because it's honestly it's sounding more and more like it's gonna be your game of the year, if not one or two or something. Like the way you play it, the way you talk about it, it's gonna be up there, right?
I think it's like with Monster Hunter, I know that it's not for everyone, but it's just so perfect for me. I don't know. I just love it. It fits around my life schedule because the gameplay is written in like short bursts and there's so much stuff in it, and it's got fishing, Rand.
It's got
It's got
fishing.
fishing. It's got fishing.
We all
So
know
that's the
you
main
love
thing.
fishing.
Yeah, indeed.
Would you still be playing Sea of Thieves if you could fish?
It's $1 million question, isn't it, man? It's $1 million question. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I mean, you
But
fished a lot in Far Cry, didn't you?
I did. I haven't got the Chivo yet, though. It's crazy. I need to go back to finish off Far Cry 5, but and do all the side quests and that sort of thing. But Monster Hunter is just so addictive. It's so damn addictive. I don't know.
Maybe it's one of those games I'll regret not playing, but I don't know. That game didn't really interest me very much. I had friends that really went
It
at it
didn't
when they
interest
first
me.
came. I don't
It
know.
didn't
Like,
interest. I was like, I never played any of the games in the franchise Monster Hunter. Never touched it ever. I mean, I didn't really know anything about it. I mean, the clues in the name. I knew it was a game about hunting monsters. That's all I knew. And then I got a review copy from Capcom. I thought I'd give it a go, and I just got hooked. Like I haven't got hooked to this entire gen on a game like I've got hooked on Monster Hunter World. It's crazy, man. I love it. It's like it's everything that I wanted out of Destiny and the Division and all those sort of grindy RPG games. It's everything I wanted out of those games in this game. So I don't know. It's great. I love it. And also, you can go fishing.
Yes. So devs, if you're making a game and there's water somewhere, maybe put in fishing.
Put fish in it.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not put fishing in it, right?
I don't know. It's the Far Cry. Far Cry's proven that any game can be elevated with fishing.
I
You
mean,
know?
do you want to see Master Chief take some time out of his day,
Yeah.
of
Alien fish.
overthrowing the Covenant to just maybe just sit by the creek, put his arm
Yeah.
around Agent Locke and be like, "Listen, let's just catch some fish. Let's bond."
There was some gorgeous water in Halo 4 in the I can't remember what the place called, the Sangheli planet. There's some nice water there, you know. There's Halo's known for its lush vegetation and forests and stuff like that. You know what game I was thinking could have fishing mechanics, Ran? Gears
What's
of
that?
War, right?
Mhm.
Because you got the chainsaw lancers on the end of the gun. What instead of a chainsaw, you could have a fishing reel and a line, you know, and use it. And like when you've hooked the fish up, you shoot it. Genius. Microsoft, hire me. I will fix your game problem. Gears of Fishing of War. Brilliant.
Multi-million
Genius.
seller right there.
Bank it.
Yeah,
Bank it.
bank it indeed.
Woo.
So is that it? Monster Hunter, the one and only?
Pretty much. I've gone back to playing Darkest Dungeon as well, on and off.
The game's pretty
Dude,
good.
I've started realizing, right? Because I sent a tweet out the other day. What are your top 5 Xbox games? A lot of people saying Forza Horizon 3, and obvious stuff, and Halo and stuff like that. And I realized that I have pretty different tastes to most people. Not a lot of people said XCOM, which I would have put on there. Not a lot of people. Nobody. I don't think anybody said The Long Dark, which I would have put on there. I don't know what my top 5 is. I need to think about that. But maybe we'll get people to submit their top 5 games at the end of the show, maybe.
Yeah.
But
That's something you kind of need to give people like time to ponder and think about. Like
yes.
if you told me that, I'd be like, I mean, I could name a couple. My top 5 games of this generation, like that came out this gen. It's like, well, I mean, Ori and the Blind Forest would be one. If it's strictly Xbox, right? Strictly Xbox.
Yeah.
Ori and the Blind Forest, definitely. Far Cry 5 would be up there for me. Damn, I'm even like I'm trying to think. Inside would be up there. Forza Horizon 3.
Exactly. It's not obvious. I mean, we've had a lot of great games this gen. A lot. And I don't know if it's just because I didn't play games as much when I was younger than I do now because it's part of my job, or simply because I couldn't afford to buy all the games. But I feel like the backlog is just never gonna be fixed, man. The backlog is real. Like, and there's loads of really nice indie games like Darkest Dungeon, which I'd never heard of. It's really, really addictive too. Like turn-based sort of roguelike strategy RPG. A really fun game. I wrote a little review of that just because I really enjoy it, even though the game's been out for like a few weeks now. I don't know, man. It's a good time to be a gamer, I think.
Yeah,
Especially a
great time.
console gamer. Not
I
so
mean,
much if you're a PC gamer and you have to pay like $1,000 for a GPU upgrade because of all their crypto crazy people. But for console gaming, it's pretty good right now.
I mean, I literally have everything. I have an Xbox One X with like 1,200 games. I have a PlayStation
Damn.
4 Pro and a PlayStation VR. That I have a few games on for the VR stuff. I have a Nintendo Switch, and I also have a monster PC gaming rig. I have a GTX 1080 in there with the i7 7700K. So it's like any game that comes out anywhere, essentially, I can play it now. Which there's very much a sense of like maybe I'm trying to even think of the right word, like jealousy or envy. It's like, oh man, I wish that game came to my console, but like now it's just like I'll just play it wherever it comes out. It's a really nice feeling.
I used to get that jealousy when I was younger and I had more free time. But like, I've only got an Xbox and a gaming PC. I can't possibly play all the games I want to play now. And even though I am going to get a PlayStation 4. I just can't resist with God of War. Um, I don't think I'll be using it that much. Simply put, because I don't have time. I hate adulting, man. It's the worst thing when
Yeah.
you're an adult and you've got a job and you can finally afford to buy everything because you've got a basic income, and then you don't have any time to play. It's like cruel fate, Rand. It's cruel
Right.
and unusual.
And Freddie in the chat says Rand a little bit of elitist. I'm not an elitist. I'm just saying it's nice to have all the options. And I know people out there are won't have that. That only can afford one console. And I understand that. I only ever speak for myself, you know?
That's the thing, though. Even if you have only got one console, there's just I feel like there's so much out there. Maybe less so if you've only got a Nintendo Switch, but there's a lot of games on Xbox and
I mean, there's a
PlayStation.
ton of games on the Switch now too. Like now that the myth that Nintendo fans don't buy third-party games is gone because there's a lot of games doing well. Like every single game, especially indie game, are coming out on the Switch because
Because they run well.
well, they run well. The portability thing is key, but games are selling. I don't know if you saw like Shovel Knight. They posted their breakdown of platform sales recently. And now keep in mind this game came out on like PC and all that stuff first, and it just sold over 2 million copies. But like their number one platform almost or will be the Switch. It's already
But
outsold PS4 and
they're
Xbox
not.
lifetime. It's
But Shovel
approach.
Knight's not competing with God of War.
I know, but I'm just saying, just like on Xbox, just like on PlayStation, you have your AAA experiences, you also have your smaller indie titles.
Yeah.
The knock against Nintendo was always that people buy the Nintendo exclusives in bulk, millions and millions of copies, but they never buy anything else, which is why
Yeah.
third parties always shied away from the system or from putting games out there. But now that kind of myth is gone, and a lot of people are finding tons of success on the system. So yeah,
I think the problem with the Switch, really, I tell you what, if the Switch had came out last gen, or maybe at the start of the gen, it wouldn't be so bad. But because developers now they're very focused on x86, and they're very focused on x86 and photorealistic games, to backport them to the Nintendo Switch, that's the issue really for Nintendo. It's not like it's a bad system. It's just like developers have already moved on from that hardware. So like hopefully game streaming, if that ever takes off, could help the Switch, Xbox game streaming to Nintendo Switch. That'd be pretty cool.
yeah. But as for what I've been playing, of course, PUBG, and I'm starting to really get good at the game. I know it's like, yeah, you've played the
You've
game
always
for
been good at the game.
no, I've been decent. My teammates
You were
like
like in
Magic.
when you're like really high ranked
Well, we
on
were
the
in the
leaderboard.
beginning, but I'm just saying I play with people who are really good. Like Magic has 2,000 kills. Like Gopher has over 1,500 or 1,700. I'm
Got like
actually
10.
like my last few games, like I get 10 kills, 11 kills, 6 kills. I'm approaching 100 wins. So like I kind of got sucked back into that. But Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. I bought it on the PlayStation. I made a video talking about how much I loved it and people should play it on the PlayStation or the PC. It was my number 4 game of the year last year. It finally came out on Xbox. I bought it again because that's how much I love that game. And I made another video saying, Xbox fans, check this game out because I think it's worthy of recognition. It needs more people talking about it. And a couple people kind of were like, "Well, you didn't do this when Rise of the Tomb Raider went from Xbox to PC." And my response to that was like, "Listen, Square Enix is going to be okay. They're a multi-million-dollar studio. Microsoft kind of helped fund that game. They're $1 billion studio. A game like that doesn't need my help or my promotion. But a game like Hellblade, a game that's made by a few people, like 30, a team that it's in the, it's published by themselves. It's like, listen, I have a platform as small as it is here on YouTube. If I can help the game reach a wider audience or people buy it and that maybe didn't know that was good, then then I'm gonna do it, and I wanted to because I love that game,
Mm.
which you haven't still played yet, unfortunately. That's shame on you.
It's in the backlog, maybe. With all the rest, man, that backlog is
Yeah, you know what? Why don't you put down
unmanageable.
Monster Hunter for a couple minutes and play a real good game for a change, Hellblade?
Yeah, man. I started up, and my girlfriend was like, "Oh my God, what is this? It's creepy," because like in the opening, the voices are coming out all angles over your TV. It's incredible, man. I just need to find a time to sit down and really focus on it with a pair of good headphones. Um, it's just time again. It's always time, always bloody time. And I
No,
just reinstalled the Division as well. Like
uh,
I don't know why. I'm not gonna have any time to play that.
yeah, no,
I'm kind of curious, like how the Division's changed over the years, because everyone says it's good now.
that is true. A lot of people do say the Division is good. It just got a patch on the X. I think it's
To be fair,
running.
man, I did turn on the Division right for like about 10 minutes earlier, and I just wanted to see what it looked like on the X with the upgrade, and I was like, wow, it looks really nice. And like as soon as I logged into the game, there was like a supply drop down, and then enemies were swarming all over it, like pretty difficult enemies as well. Because my dude had good gear at the time when I played, and they wrecked me, and I was like, oh my God, this actually seems vaguely interesting now. So and that wasn't even in the Dark Zone. It was just like a regular, like a dynamic event that just occurred in the world. I don't know anything about the Division though. Like I played it at launch for the review. I gave it 7 out of 10, I think, because I thought it was super shallow and the skills were really unbalanced, and the Dark Zone was laggy mess and unplayable. And I was really disappointed with it. But kudos to Ubisoft because they stuck with it, man. They stuck with it, updated it, upgraded it, kept pumping new content into it, and now people say it's good. And like a cursory glance at the subreddit, people seem pretty positive about it.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
gonna
mean,
give it a
look,
go.
the Division was a game that was really hyped. I actually enjoyed playing through the game for the first time. It wasn't until he hit the end game that I felt that the game was severely lacking, and I think that's what everybody felt. Like it was really cool playing it in four-player co-op, exploring this really, post-apocalyptic New York City,
Yeah,
and
like the world was great.
yeah,
Like
it totally was. So
yeah,
it's nice
there
to
was nothing in
see
it.
supposedly that the game's really good now.
Yeah.
It overcame its issues and things like that. So I mean, I don't have time to go back. I got like I said, I got 1,200 games on Xbox. I it's I got Doom I have to do because someone wanted me to do a review for it.
Oh yeah, you haven't played Doom.
No, okay, so the story around Doom is interesting.
Oh, go on then.
Doom was
Hit
like one of
us.
the first games I ever played, period, back in the day, right? Uh, and it came out in May of 2016. The problem was right around there was a month later was E3. So I couldn't get any gamer score because I was really close to the million. And Phil and Mike and the team at Xbox invited me out to E3 to break it on stage. So there was a collection of games that came out right in that time frame that I didn't play even though I bought because I couldn't risk going over. And Doom was one of those games.
Oh man, what a
Um,
weird reason to
I mean,
not
it is the
play
reason.
again.
And people say, hey, maybe you should just play on a different account. Look, I don't do that stuff. I don't play on other accounts. I have a single account. I don't block my privacy on Xbox. So if you want to see what I'm playing on Xbox or PlayStation, go ahead and look. It'll show you. Like, I'm not one of those people that blocks my stuff. And I'm not someone who plays something on another profile. It's on my main profile or it's not on it at all. And
Don't
I
you have a I have a review profile for NDAs. Don't you need to have one? I'm sure. I'm sure some dev at some point told me that I could only review their game if I reviewed it on a private account.
Bethesda used to be like that, yes. But Microsoft put in protections for it. So, like, if you get a game early, they hide the presence of what you're playing. It'll just say like on home screen.
Ah,
The achievements are hidden, things like that. They've gone a long way to do that. But yeah, there were some companies that used to do that. But so the thing was, it was like I wanted to play it, but I have this like one of my worst habits is after a game comes out, if I didn't play it right away and I just keep on going because I'm always playing new stuff, it's hard for me to go backwards, right? So since E3 came and went and I did that stuff and I got home and I took a few days to kind of like, be proud of my achievement or whatever, I kept on playing all the new games as they came out, but I didn't go back to the games I bought. Like I bought Mirror's Edge day one, I bought Doom day one, and a bunch of other games, and I didn't go back because I was, moving forward. But I feel like I need to play Doom. I just got the patch. People talk about it with such high praise. There's rumors going around that Doom 2 will be announced this year. So I was like, you know what? I want to play that. I also want to play Uncharted Lost Legacy. Because I love the Uncharted series, and I kind of felt like, hey, I feel like playing Uncharted again. I just kind of feel like that. And then of course there's God of War next week, which shout out to Ravenflow. Phil Spencer just congratulated Sony. Good man. Phil is a great guy. He's a true gamer, and I know a lot of people don't like when Xbox does that, when they congratulate the competition. But
those people are
very
idiots.
genuine when it comes to that stuff. Very, very genuine. It's just
what are they supposed to do? Just like ignore it or try and downplay it. They're all part of the same industry. Appreciating the art of your competitor is human nature. So the people who are trolling Phil Spencer for congratulating Sony, they are ridiculous. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean they want them to be more like Sony. Sony doesn't acknowledge, anything Microsoft does publicly for the most part. But even though privately they all talk, they're all friends and things like that. I don't know, but we were going to talk about that, Raven.
Microsoft doesn't care because they've got billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, Microsoft as a company doesn't care. But yeah, so that's my plan for the rest of the week. I always have these like grandiose plans to play all this stuff, and then like an addict, I get stuck on PUBG because it's so addicting, dude. I don't know what to do with myself sometimes, man. And you know what it is? It's because my friends play that game, and they're always like, "We need someone. Come on." It's like it's peer pressure. It's like gaming peer pressure is what it is, Jez. Gaming peer pressure.
Yeah, I don't have any friends, so I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
No. Now sometimes like Roby's like, oh, we got to stream PUBG or we got to stream this game, and I'm just like, no. So I just sort of don't turn up to those streams.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing. I mean, dude, I played Hellblade the second it came out, and I was done with the game at like 4 a.m. Like, I mean, granted, I knew what the puzzles were, but God, that game is so good. And hopefully more people check it out. They are giving away, donating a bunch of money to mental health charities if they reach 50,000 sales on the Xbox and 100,000 sales. So, I mean, look, people talk all the talk they can, but you got to put your money where your mouth is sometimes. It's nice to get out there and say, like, I'm going to support this game. But when the game comes out and you want more games like it, you got to put your money where your mouth is. You got to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. People didn't pick up Sunset Overdrive. It's really funny because people like, they look back, like people in the industry, people high up in the industry, they look back on Sunset Overdrive like it's some kind of, underappreciated classic now. But like at the time, no one could give it the time of day. It's kind of annoying in a way. But I think
no, you're right.
I don't know. We could do a whole podcast about the way some of these games were handled. But
yeah, that is true. Ermi says I am giving away a free code of Hellblade for the Xbox. So if you do want to win, I will be drawing the winner later tonight. You can check out my Twitter as well as Jez's in the description of the video, which is always there. And if you want to enter, just all you got to do is follow or retweet on Twitter, and we'll draw a winner. Black Guy says, how about you review instead of just jacking off to the score? I did review Hellblade when it released on the PlayStation 4. So if you want to see the proper review, it's there. My feelings towards the game haven't changed. I was just putting out a video, telling my Xbox brethren to support this great game. Sorry if that offended some people out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't think he was talking to you, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
In any case, uh,
Moving on. First topic.
the whole game. Yeah, first off,
Go ahead.
talk about the games thing. We talked about the games thing for the last 3 weeks almost because it does seem to be at the fore of the whole conversation now that like Xbox exclusives compared to the Sony exclusives and that sort of thing. I think like I mean we don't need to bang the drum about this. So PlayStation right now, they're beating Microsoft. I mean there's no way anyone could argue otherwise. It's objective truth, you know. Like Sony's beating Microsoft in games, in console sales, and all that stuff, you know. And I think, but the thing is, Phil has been promoted to Microsoft's senior leadership team, and he now has a seat on the council, which governs Microsoft's entire consumer strategy. So I think E3 will be interesting to see how Phil lays down his vision for the future of Xbox because he's never really been in an authoritative position to really do that until now. So E3 is going to be an interesting one this year.
Yeah, I
Very
mean,
interesting.
we talked about that before. I know it's become a meme, and I hate saying it, the whole way to E3 stuff. But I mean, this year, you know, like there has to be something
I'm,
because two of their games out of their three are going to be out. So it's like I don't know what's going to be out. I don't know what they're going to show. It's just, I mean, I don't know what
I
else to
mean,
say. We've kind of
I don't, by no means am I saying that what Phil says at E3 is going to completely destroy PlayStation. I wouldn't make such a ridiculous claim like that. I just think as an Xbox fan and as an Xbox customer, I'm interested to see how they're going to address this meme. You know, I mean, maybe they just can't beat Sony in terms of first party. Maybe they just don't have the right staff or the right um the relationships or the right talent amongst their employees. Maybe that's just a fact of life, you know. But at the same time, um, I want to see how Microsoft are going to manage that, and I think E3 is going to be where that's revealed. And I'm by no means saying that um, the Microsoft's got a silver bullet that's just going to win everything. That's not the way this works. But at the same time, I think Xbox and PlayStation coexist pretty well, and we need to have a two console system, or you know, even more than two consoles. The competition is healthy. The only reason Sony is pushing so hard on games is because you know they need PlayStation to win. And if they were decimating Xbox, completely decimating it, they won't be pushing so hard because Xbox is still keeping pace in key markets like Europe, UK, America. You know, so we'll see, man.
I mean, we did. There is a comment I've seen that has been put out there a lot. David Oliver in chat says, "Have you heard anything about Crackdown 3?" And like, I have,
Have you?
I have, but I don't want to say, so I'm not going to.
I've heard multiple things about Crackdown 3.
Let's just say I've heard
Um,
very, very mixed things about Crackdown
I've
3.
heard mixed things too.
So it's
But the
not going to
game's
be.
not cancelled.
Yeah, the game won't be canceled, but I've heard very mixed stuff. Take that for what it's worth. Look, I've seen this even on the Reset Era threads. Like people's like Rand's not. I've never claimed to be an insider whatsoever. Sometimes I hear things from people, but like I've heard Crackdown. Well, there's probably a reason why it's taken 4 years to develop. You know, I mean, take take from that what you will, um, but you know what? Let's talk about Xbox because that was kind of the big show, and we'll move on later on to talk about some of the BC stuff and you know the reviews for God of War and you know all that type of thing. But what did you? Well, I know you didn't watch the first episode of Inside Xbox.
I didn't
Um,
watch either.
you didn't watch either, and
I
they
watched,
call you you call yourself an Xbox fan. You don't even watch.
dude.
You don't even
It
watch
was
them.
it was on at 1 a.m. in Germany. I watched bits of the replay. I kind of skipped through it, and obviously I thought, and like I did with the first one, I kind of skipped through it. It's too long for me. My attention span is zero. But it did seem like it was a lot better, And they actually had some decent announcements for this one. The reason I didn't watch it is because they gave me all the information under embargo,
Yeah,
so I didn't have
I
to. I
kind of
didn't have to
figured
watch it.
because as soon as they announced the stuff, I saw all the media outlets run with prepared articles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like those four games leaked in the morning, right? So like destroy all humans, I think it's called, and those other games, Morrowind, obviously, and those leaked, and a lot of people were like, "Oh God, it's only four games," but then they had like 18, was it 19 backwards compatible um original games, and some of them were really good. Like I didn't expect them to ever get the Star Wars games, and like a lot of people were asking for Conquer, so that's pretty cool, and stuff like that. So. But I don't want to talk about that too much because
Well,
it's
that
kind
was
of like who's gonna actually. I mean, there are people out there who will buy a console so they can play the classics and the nostalgia and stuff. And I think the best thing about backwards compatibility is the fact that Microsoft is committed to preserving the digital past, even if like I'm not gonna stop playing Monster Hunter World to start playing, Morrowind, for example. It's not gonna happen. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad that the option's there, and I'm glad that people who like that stuff have the option. Like, but on the flip side, if I could play some backwards compatible PlayStation 1 games on the PS4, that would be a selling point to me because I grew up on the PS4. I barely played the original Xbox.
right.
Makes me wonder, like, why the PlayStation 4 is obviously powerful enough to run PlayStation 1, probably PlayStation 2 emulator. It's weird to me why Sony hasn't jumped on that train because I think there's a lot more nostalgia for PlayStation games than there are original Xbox games. I mean, look at Crash Bandicoot, man. The Crash Bandicoot was killer sales, and that's all nostalgia. That's all nostalgia power. And I'm not saying the game's bad, but I'm saying that like in the UK, PlayStation 1 was bundled with Crash Bandicoot, and Crash Bandicoot absolutely crushed the sales in the UK. So I want to play Nightmare Creatures on the PS4, Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2 and Final Fantasy 7 through 10, not 11. God, not 11. Never 11. Final Fantasy 11 gave me PTSD. But but there's a lot of classic games that I'd love to play. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about compatibility, man? Because I know you're not a huge fan of it.
Well, it's okay. Here's the thing. It's not that I'm not a fan of it. It's just I don't use it because it doesn't because I'm always moving forward. Like I said, I have hard enough time playing all the new games that I haven't experienced that the idea of going back to play something else I already have doesn't really appeal to me. That's kind of my whole thing with back compat. I love that the team's working on it. Bill Stillwell was on Inside Xbox, and this is a major feature that Phil has talked about preserving Xbox games, whether they're original or 360. And if you own the games, you can play them on the Xbox One, and they're enhanced for the X. Like it's an amazing feature. It's just something that I'm just not going to use, and that's just that. And like I said, look, anybody in chat who's like, I'm going to use it random, like great. If you want to play Red Dead Redemption in 4K, the best the game's ever looked, the best the game's ever played anywhere because it never came out on PC. Awesome, because Red Dead Redemption is one of the best games of last gen, and I'm not going to be like, don't play that game, But for me, it's just like I have all these newer games I want to play. I've already played Red Dead. I don't really want to play it again because that what other game would I have to sacrifice to give it up? Like we talked about earlier, adulting is hard. Finding time to play games is difficult sometimes. And I would rather give the small amount of time I do have these days to playing a new game rather than something I played before. And I know people will be like, "Oh, you just played Hellblade again." True, Hellblade I just replayed. I love that game. Um, but I don't know, like Red Dead just same thing with like Grand Theft Auto from 4 from last gen. It's just a game I've experienced and I've moved on from. But I think I'm part of the minority in that regard, right?
It depends on the kind of game. Like, I love that Red Dead Redemption's in 4K. It looks stunning, and like the way they've done it is like they've basically just turned off the texture filtering that happens when you're far away from an object. It sort of makes it blurry so it doesn't lag out the console. But obviously Xbox doesn't need to worry about that, so they just sort of disable it, and so all textures run at their maximum resolutions at all times. And as a result, Red Dead just looks really, really good on Xbox One X. And but as much as I love Red Dead, I'm probably not going to go back and play it either, just because it's such a huge game and like I don't have time. But I might go back and play like some smaller games and stuff that have been updated and that sort of thing. And I tell you another thing, Rand. Like I've got this habit, Rand, where like when a sequel to a franchise comes out that I really love, I like to go back and play through all of them, especially if it's been a long time. Like I've completed Mass Effect 1 a million times because of the stuff like this. And I like to replay through whole franchises and recap. Like I'd love it if they remastered Mass Effect 1 in even if they just upscale it and bring some of the dynamic Xbox One X updates to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But an open world game like Red Dead, it's hard to.
No, open world games are hard to get into, and especially for one that takes as long to beat as Red Dead. And I knew somebody would say this. He's like, Rand, being a little hypocrite, you played the same game twice. Of course I have. I've played Hellblade 3 times. I mean, when like Dead Space came out, Dead Space 2, I played that 3 times. I played Dead Space 1, 3 times. There are a ton of games out there that I'll play multiple times. Hell, when Resident Evil 7 came out, I played it 5 times in like the first week. The thing is, once I move on from the game, once I get as many playthroughs I want out of the game originally, it's kind of in the back burner at that point. I don't revisit it. I haven't revisited Resident Evil 7 to play any of the DLC. But that's just me. That's just how I've always kind of been. Finish the game off, move on to the next game, and I don't really replay games that I've finished. Hellblade may be a different story because it's so short. 5 hours, boom, done. You know what I mean? But look, that's just how I roll, man. Like that's just me. Like I know it's not for everybody else, and the whole like Xbox back compat thing. Like I've said this before, it's a great program. I mean, it's not a new concept as a lot of the previous systems have had back compat. The PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 and some iterations of the 3. And it's just that
First iteration, right, of the 3 was back compat. And then
one of the versions of the 3 was back compat. And for whatever reason, the industry got away from backwards compatibility. Maybe in the effort to sell newer systems and sell more games out of the gate instead of people replaying their older library. But somewhere along the line, that kind of changed. Phil, say what you will about Phil, but he's a very genuine person. He cares about the industry a tremendous deal. He sees games as an art form that needs to be preserved. And that's one of the reasons why Xbox have the program in the first place.
Yeah.
And
they're not making a huge amount of money on that program. Like the amount of work and hours that go into licensing those old ass games and go into modifying them so that they do output in a higher resolution, like the 4K Fallout 3 and Red Dead and stuff like that. That's quite a lot of man hours, and Microsoft aren't making a huge amount of money on that. They're doing it because Phil cares about it, pretty much. If you can guarantee if another CEO was in charge, or CEO, I say like if there was someone else in charge.
If Matrick was still running the show,
if Matrick was still running the show, it wouldn't happen. It
Yeah.
wouldn't happen. It's
You know,
not. It's not a huge selling point, I don't think, and I don't. They're not making that much money on it, licensing wise.
I
And
figure we'll run down the list of the back and pack games that were announced in case anybody here didn't, haven't heard. So, yeah, Blinks the Time Sweeper, Breakdown,
it's
Conquer,
your
Live and
favorite game ever
Reloaded.
made, right?
What? No,
Blinks the Time
here's the
Sweeper
thing.
is your favorite game.
That was just a joke between me and Phil, and some people just take and run with that. I've never even played Blinks.
Nah, it's your favorite game ever. I
No.
know it is.
So you got
Second
the Elder
top.
Scrolls 3, Morrowind, Hunter the Reckoning, Jade Empire, which is awesome. I love Jade Empire. I never played Morrowind. Panzer Dragoon Orta, SX3, Destroy All Humans, Full Spectrum Warrior, Mercenaries Playground Destruction, MX Unleashed, Panzer Lead Action, Fields of Glory, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, Star Wars Jedi Knight Academy, or Jedi Academy, Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Star Wars Republic Commando. Man, like Disney really got on board with the back compat, huh?
Yeah, they did. I mean, kudos to Disney. Disney. I bet EA wasn't particularly happy about that Battlefront thing because that potentially muddies.
I mean, but the
I
whole
mean,
pull of that Battlefront was the online back then. There's no online anymore in this,
is there not?
no, there's no online for any of these things.
But didn't they bring the servers back online for Battlefront?
No, they didn't
They
bring the
did on
servers back
PC.
for any of this stuff.
I'm sure they did on PC. I'm
Original
sure.
Xbox Live is shut down. It's been shut down for some time. Maybe on the PC there's still some servers. I don't know, but no, the live functionality is disabled in those games.
Man,
I mean,
yeah,
that's the thing.
classic.
I don't think EA cares because if you want to play Star Wars Battlefront online with people, you got to play the new one.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, Disney did bring the classic Battlefront servers back online, but I guess not for PC. Actually, I think I
Um,
remember when they shut down the original Xbox Live. That'd be cool. What if they could get that working again? That
it'd
might be
be
a selling
interesting. It's
point.
probably. I mean, I saw E. If you guys remember who E is, used to run like Xbox Live back in the day. He says it would be way more.
Hello.
He had like a long thread about it, saying like how it's basically not feasible in today's environment, like privacy, security, like all this stuff, and it was a pretty interesting read. But what do you think about? Because I do see this talked about is people would be more interested in these original Xbox games if they added new achievements. What do you think about that?
I don't disagree. But the problem with that is that it's impossible because they'd have to modify the source code. They're tricking the graphics driver to get the visuals boosted. But to add achievements would require, source code level. They'd have to add triggers for the achievements and stuff like that, and it's not as simple to do as you might think. By the way, Jay Nimbus, shout out for that epic super chat there, $10 for Rand. Do you wanna answer that question quickly, Rand?
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. My bad.
Jay
Thanks,
Nimbus dropped a huge
Don
dollar.
Julio, for the super chat. Random Jazz, what came out of the meeting with Sega? Was it just for BC Games? Here's the thing. I'm not sure anything came out of these meetings. Like that's the thing. Like I know people like to speculate, and I'm to be blamed just as much as anybody else. I do like talking about rumors and speculations. You guys know this. I would imagine these big companies they have meetings yearly, maybe. And I know people like to get worked up because there's this kind of shroud of mystery surrounding the future of what games Xbox will be putting out. So they see Microsoft meeting with Sega, and people run rampant with ideas. Oh, they bringing back the Dreamcast on BC, Sega games, the Game Pass. Are they buying Sega? Are they talking about a new IP or something? It could be a lot of things, or it could be just plain old nothing. Maybe it was just Microsoft meeting with Sega to talk about stuff. Maybe it was to sign a new deal for a Sega developer to work on an Xbox franchise, similar to how Creative Assembly worked on Halo Wars 2.
So Rand, what you're telling me is Xbox isn't buying Sega.
No, I think it's pretty certainty that we can say Xbox isn't buying Sega, and of course I say that and watch that be an announcement at E3, right?
Nah, man, they're gonna announce they're buying EA at E3. Don't you remember that
Yeah,
Polygon
and
icon?
Valve as well. Like they're gonna bring Gabe back on stage, and he's gonna be an employee of Microsoft again. And he'd be like, Microsoft. He'll hand over the keys of Steam to Phil on stage, and the PC fanboys will. It'll be like that line from Star Wars. It was if there was a millions of voices cried out in terror, and then they were silenced or whatever.
Dude, I would love if Microsoft bought Valve just for the shitstorm that would ensue following that announcement. That's the only real reason I want to buy Valve. But like they could do like a Halo Half-Life crossover called Halo Life 3, and instead of Gordon Freeman, it's Master Chief stomping on head crabs and stuff.
I mean, what do you think about that, Jazz? What do you think about the meetings with Sega and the meetings with the other companies? Do you think it's just,
I don't know.
hey,
I think
it's our yearly meeting, let's talk about some stuff, or do you think there's some real like things going down behind the scenes?
no, I don't know. I'm a pretty pessimistic guy most of the time. I think it was just probably standard stuff discussing licensing and for upcoming Sega games. I don't think it was actually, by the way, we want to buy your whole company, or we want you to make a Sonic exclusive to Xbox or something like that. I don't know. I don't have massive expectations for that sort of stuff. I don't know. I don't know, man. I really do hope, like, I mean, we're joking about Microsoft buying Valve or EA or something like that. I really do hope Microsoft shows some form of commitment to making a big statement in the future, because it feels like they're just sort of trucking along at the minute.
I mean,
I don't know.
that's true, and I know a lot of people want to see that. But I did see a question I did want to answer. This week's trend said, Rand, do you think the ability of game sharing has hurt Microsoft this gen? Because I see
Oh,
this brought up a lot, and it's not just Xbox, but you can also do this on PlayStation. This ability of me, like, say for example, this is how it works. Me and Jazz are buds, best of pals. We trust each other with everything. Our passwords and our girlfriends, right? That type of stuff. We're cool with each other. Uh, there's essentially a way where you can game share, where I won't go into specifics, but essentially, uh, I buy a game, I'll get the game, and Jez gets the game. Buys the game, he gets the game, and I get the game. We're essentially paying for a half a copy. Instead of a publisher getting two sales from two people that want to play the game, they're only essentially getting one, right? Now I've heard people say like the publisher's got to hate this and stuff, but I've been told that it actually helps. They actually sell more games than they would without it. And when publishers and developers come to Xbox and complain about it, and Microsoft shows them the data they have that says this is actually good, they say, "Oh, okay, cool." Because at the end of the day, publishers and developers, they care about one thing: money and how many copies of the games they're selling. And if they feel that something is preventing them from reaching a bigger audience, they get pissed off. But Microsoft has all the data, and they present it to them and be like, "No, it actually sells more games." And then they're like, "Okay, cool, thanks. No problem. As long as you're making me more money, we're good."
Yeah. We talked about this with Sea of Thieves, right? Because the fact that people were able to get it effectively for $10 for a month helped with the game's virality and led to higher retail sales. And I think game share goes some way to doing that. I game share with a friend, and in the UK, and he I don't always game share because sometimes my internet's down and I have to turn it off. And half the time when it's turned off, he just ends up buying the games anyway because he doesn't want to resist. So it's kind of like it's a good way. It's a powerful demo, and there is data to suggest that it helps the virality of games, word of mouth. Like, for example, my friend or anyone's friend who playing a game that they got on GameShare, maybe they'll say to their friend, "You need to buy this so we can play together." This works especially for multiplayer games, right? They might be like, "Well, I want to play this game with you. I'm game sharing with my friend. You need to buy it," and then that person ends up buying it because they don't have anyone to game share with. So, and that sort of stuff. David asks, you do need to be online to validate your licenses if you've been offline for a long period of time. So,
Well, I mean, kind of like you can always. Well, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but there's ways to play those games offline. Maybe not all of them, but half of them or whatever. Either way, I think GameShare helps. The publishers and devs all know about it. It's basically on the PlayStation and Xbox, and from what I've been told, it helps, and they sell more copies, and everybody's good with it.
do you remember when GameShare was supposed to be 10? Was it 10 people?
Yeah, that's
Or
the thing. That
5
was
or
the
something?
original like DRM strategy Microsoft was going to have in 2013, where you could the family share thing with whatever, but like it was never really detailed about what it was. Like it was just kind of like, oh, you buy a game and then four other people could play it or whatever, but it was never like really expounded upon. And that was most of the messaging back in 2013 was it was just like it was just such radical changes right away and people just didn't know what to expect or how to feel, and then you have the competition basically being like, yo, nothing's changing over here, and we're also $100 cheaper, so that's how it all went. But gotta shout out Brew Who X with the super chat. He says forced crossplay makes Xbox even less relevant. Now that's an interesting statement because of Sea of Thieves, right, Jez? There's been a lot of reports of PC gamers cheating and affecting
Yep.
people's experience on the Xbox. Now,
Not only that, Rand, but in the most recent Sea of Thieves patch notes, they've unlocked the mouse turning sensitivity on the sniper rifle for PC, because before they locked how fast you could turn while aiming the sniper rifle on PC, because obviously that would give people with a mouse a massive advantage, but it made for a really poor experience. So Rares turned it off. So now people playing with the sniper rifle on PC are going to crush people on console, and there is no way to disable crossplay. So, while I like the sentiment of cooperative, I actually wrote an article about this recently. Like, I really like crossplay as an option. I really like cooperative PvE crossplay. I don't like forced PvP crossplay, because it's just unfair. Either they need to let Xbox gamers use a mouse and keyboard with Sea of Thieves, or they need to make it a toggle. Like, I only want to play with Xbox gamers. I mean, why not implement that? So I think crossplay is. I think it's harmful to Sea of Thieves, and Rare told me when I visited the studio that they've got data to say, that on average a console gamer is only 2% at a 2% disadvantage killing skeletons or something, compared to someone with a mouse. But that was before they implemented this sniper rifle change, so it's really going to be weird to see how this affects things. And I think if it does affect things pretty badly, you'll start seeing people shouting louder for cross-play as an option. If people are still playing Sea of Thieves.
right. I look, I get why they're doing it, but I think it only really should be an option for games that have no PvP mode. Like if it's just PvE and we're just playing together, like State of Decay 2, for example, it makes all the sense in the world, right? But when it's some sort of competitive element to the game, whether it's Gears of War, whether it's Sea of Thieves, whether it's any other game, like God forbid Halo, whenever if that ever has I feel like it needs to be separate. I feel like you should like there should like it should be off by default, and then if you want it, you can opt in.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
agree.
mean? Like I feel like that's the
Like Gears
better.
of War, that's what they're doing in Gears of War. There is a cross-play playlist in Gears of War 4 that is optional, and like that's fine. If you want to have that option, great, go for it. And there are certain games where keyboard and mouse doesn't really offer an advantage, like Killer Instinct, for example. Crossplay there is fine, and then you've got games like Minecraft, which is just kind of casual. Crossplay there is fine. But in a game like Sea of Thieves, where the stakes can be pretty high, can you imagine, Rand, how pissed you would be if you had a boat with 20 chests on it, and then you got sniped from across the map by someone with an aimbot, or just a PC gamer with a mouse, or who did like a 360 no scope jumping off the crow's nest? I mean, that's probably not going to happen. But as an extreme example,
yeah, it would suck.
You get ganked by someone with an advantage over you, and you lose all those chests. That's horrible, man.
I mean,
and that's going to happen eventually, and it's going to suck.
When I'm on my computer researching information, or editing my videos or stuff, I watch Twitch. There are a couple streamers I enjoy watching. One being Brown Man, who really goes for achievements, but I also really enjoy watching Ninja, who's the biggest guy on Twitch. He plays Fortnite. I also enjoyed watching, Shroud and Dr. Disrespect, because they're really good. They're like the best of the best at what they do, and it's really interesting watching them play. But when they play some of those games, they run into cheaters, but that's like the nature of the PC base, is that you're going to run into some people like that. And Microsoft has kind of invited themselves in to that with this kind of cross-play scenario, which I'm thankful for. They don't have it on PUBG on the Xbox right now, because I wouldn't play it. At least when you play PUBG on Xbox, nobody's cheating. Yeah, you may have bad frame rate sometimes, even though the game's a lot better than it was, or whatever. But like, it's like legit. It's your skill versus their skill. When I watch some of these other guys, like sometimes like they get killed because people are cheating, and I don't want that to kind of find its way into Xbox. Because even though Sea of Thieves is mostly PvE, there is a PvP quality element to it. But whenever Halo 6 comes out, which is going to have a very strong multiplayer component, you can't have that. Number one, because PC players have a natural advantage with keyboard and mouse over console players. So you can't have them in a first-person shooter playing together, period. If you want to opt in, fine. But it brings a whole bunch of unknowns to the table, like cheats, hacks, and all that stuff that I personally don't want to experience. Right?
I read an article this week, by the way, that Dell in China is advertising a PC by saying our PC can run more hacks for PUBG than the nearest competitor. That's how normal it is to cheat in PUBG in China. That manufacturers are actually advertising their machines as being able to run cheats better. So PC is awful for that stuff, and it's one of the reasons why I just don't play competitively on PC. And yeah, there are like games where they have really strong anti-cheat systems and stuff like that. But man, you just have that reassurance on console that there's not going to be any cheaters, or maybe there will be, like maybe the odd person using one of those, those keyboard and mouse converters. You get that a lot in Call of Duty, right? Where people are using a mouse and keyboard on an Xbox, but it's still not that often. So, I like the purity of the console experience, and clearly Sea of Thieves and crossplay is something that will hinder that experience. And, UWP was supposed to be this super secure platform, and clearly it isn't, because as we wrote about previously, Sea of Thieves has hacks, and that's just the way it is,
Yeah.
So,
and look, I've experienced cheating on console, not on the Xbox One, but on the 360. If anybody here has played Halo 2 or Call of Duty, you get into those hacked lobbies on Modern Warfare games. You play Halo 2, especially any of the DLC maps, and you run into those aimbots, or the thing with the modem standbying where people would disappear. I mean, I've experienced some of it. I mean, it's not typically PC cheating, but it was pretty bad. You get into a match and all of a sudden there's a dude in the sky just flipping around, headshotting everybody. I would rage back in those Halo 2 days. Thank God none of that stuff has really hit Xbox One, until now, and it's disappointing. I mean, granted, I'm not playing Sea of Thieves, but I do hear about it, and it's like, should Microsoft really rethink this whole cross-play love fest between the PC and Xbox? I mean, I know Fortnite's doing it. You know, Fortnite has cross-play between Xbox, PC, and mobile. I don't know if there's
It's just
any cheating
you can
going on
opt out
there,
though. You can
but
opt out. That's the
with,
thing though. On Fortnite, you can opt out. You
that is
can't opt
true.
out on Sea of Thieves, and that is the issue.
Yeah, so
So
they need to add an opt-out thing, but that was a really interesting discussion, and thanks for I think I forget who brought it up, but that wasn't something we were going to talk about. But Jez, one of the big things from Inside Xbox was the Red Dead Redemption 4K stuff. In fact, what was it? 6 games got enhanced for the X. Red Dead Redemption, Portal 2, Star Wars, Sonic Generations, Darksiders, and Gears of War 2. How often did you see this happening of these 360 games getting the 4K treatment in the future? Is it something that we can expect every couple months? It seems like they're doing more and more.
yeah, it is. It seems like they're hitting their stride in terms of like how they've done this. I mean, it just seems like, you know, it's, we talked about earlier. It's a renderer trick that they're using to trick the game into outputting its textures at maximum resolution at all times. And you know, there are tons of games that work that way, where the textures get worse as you get further away. And I mean, and when you get close, they get higher resolution and stuff. Like Rage, for example. Did you ever play Rage on the
I did play
360?
Rage. I really like that.
Well, you know, but it had like it was the id Tech engine, and it had this really laggy texture popping, where like if you spun the camera around fast enough, you could see like this awful like, you know, 100p resolution textures for a few seconds while they popped back in, because everything behind you would lower resolution to like save memory and stuff like that. But on the X, that could just be maxed out at all times and you wouldn't get that problem. So I see more games getting enhanced in 4K for the X. You know, it's a bit of differentiation. It brings new life to those games. Red Dead is a really good one because the sequel's coming out this year. For the people who didn't play it, and there's going to be plenty of people who didn't play it, the Xbox One X is the best place to experience the first game. And you know, Red Dead 2 is a direct sequel, pretty much, I believe. So yeah, I think we're going to see more of this sort of stuff.
Right.
But again, is it a massive selling point? It's a selling point, but is it a massive selling point? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think for Red Dead, maybe, but other games, less so. I don't know.
So, what about I know maybe you don't have an opinion on this because we haven't really gone, but what do you think about the FanFest changes of paying $45 this year instead of it
I
being free?
I didn't see anything about that. So fill us in. What have they changed?
So FanFest is this thing that Microsoft has done the last few years where fans get invited to the conference. They usually get E3 tickets to join, you know, to go to the E3 show floor, play some games. They get a whole bunch of swag and things like that. I went in 2016. It was a really good experience. Last year I heard was the best ever because it was like this whole area where they could play all the games, but they offer some details for Xbox fans if you're going to be out there in LA for E3. So they're going to have 400 FanFest tickets available for the Sunday and Monday events, and that'll be for $45 a piece. And then they also have 1,000 tickets available for fans just for the conference itself, because they moved it to the Microsoft Theater and it holds more people. So they obviously want to bring more fans. There's kind of been a discussion about like whether it's okay for Microsoft to charge for this and things like that. And like I would gladly pay for it as being someone who went to one of these. It's especially if you're an Xbox fan, it's totally
How
worth the
much?
money.
How much are the BlizzCon tickets? Like well over $100, hundreds of dollars. So yeah, I think it's okay for Microsoft to charge for this. Not only will you get early access to Xbox games. You'll probably get early access to games that they've got marketing deals with. Like last year, they had Assassin's Creed Origins and stuff like that. So I think $45 is a steal. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm just going to look up how much BlizzCon is right now. And BlizzCon is like a holy grail for me. It's something I really want to go to. It's just getting to California is just really, really hard. But you know,
you got to go as
BlizzCon ain't
media,
cheap.
dude. You got to go to as media.
Yeah, I know, but who's going to pay for my plane? Not Windows Central.
I don't know, but like the swag you get is a ton. Like you get like $300 to $400 worth of swag at this thing. So paying $45 for it, not that big of a deal. You know,
Yeah.
the 1,000 tickets you're giving away to fans to go to, you know, the conference is awesome. Like the conference is awesome live. I've been there. You've been there. It's a really different experience being there
I've
watching
never
it.
I've never been in a fan fest, media and allowed.
Well, but
But the
you've seen the conference though. You've watched the conference live.
that's the thing, man. I wish I could say that I have, but I
What?
st- I sit there staring at my laptop, typing notes. I don't really watch it.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I mean, it was a different experience for me being there in 2016 live than watching it on the PC screen. I wish I could go this year. I really do, but most likely can't.
I might not be
Probably
going. I might not be going this year either.
no Jez at E3, but how will we get any
Is it true?
leaks?
Uh, Go to a professional outlet.
A professional, good one, good
Go
one.
to, go to a professional journalist. Yeah, it's just hard because it's
So,
so expensive.
so what do you think
Uh,
about Inside Xbox as a whole? Is this something that Microsoft do you like this monthly show that they do? Do you think they should continue to do it, or like I know maybe you haven't watched it, but do you think it's good? It's good for Microsoft to have a show like this once a month, right?
I mean, yeah, but the problem is people are going to start expecting big announcements now. You know, I still haven't watched one all the way through, so I can't fully comment on it. I'm gonna go back and watch them actually at some point. But um, I don't know. I think it is important that Microsoft celebrates its fan base and stuff, and that's kind of what Microsoft's all about. It wants to serve its existing user base as much as it can and grow out from there. It's not all about chasing the next million users. I mean, it is to some degree, but their existing users is what they care about first and foremost. And I know this because, like, they've told me that's how they run their business. That's why they've got Xbox Insider Program, and that's why they've got Windows Insider Program, and they've got feedback systems for literally everything. There's even a Skype Insider's Program now, so maybe Skype will start sucking a bit less. But
Impossible.
yeah, possibly, yeah, probably. But that's the way it is. And
Yeah,
I think if Microsoft sees the value, then why not? If people like it, why not? You know,
damn right. If people enjoy it, why not? Like there are going to be like I guess the main thing you should do is manage your expectations. They're not going to reveal anything huge at any of these things. And backwards compatibility news isn't something I consider to be huge. So it's great to have that info there, but I doubt they're going to reveal like a new game there ever. Like that stuff saved for E3 and maybe Gamescom. And next month will be a blowout on State of Decay 2, similar to probably how they did it with Sea of Thieves. Um,
but this is the weird thing, with all video game shows like this when they're professionally done, like they all end up getting cancelled. I don't know what it is, but like, like throughout the years, there has been like lots of video game TV shows, and they all end up getting cancelled. Like in the UK, there was like Game Master and a bunch of these different shows that were all about gaming, interviewing devs and interviewing, celebrities and stuff like that. But they don't really reach a broad audience because most people just want to sit and play. I don't know.
Most people just want to sit and play FIFA and Roblox, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I
and,
was
and,
looking
and
at
that
the
new
most.
Cliffy B
Oh
Battle
God,
Royale.
did
What's
you
it called?
see that? Did you
What
see
is it
that?
called?
Radical
Radical
Height,
Heights. Radical
extreme
Heights.
early access. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this. I did a video and I was like, man, like Overwatch or Lawbreakers was like, hey, we need to make a game. Let's copy the big trend at the time, and it was hero shooters, right? And now that that game failed, and it's like, what's the big trend in gaming now? Oh, right, Battle Royale. Here's Radical Heights, a game we made in 5 months. Like,
It's shocking. It's shocking. It's so shallow.
I mean,
I
I've
don't
actually
know.
heard it's good though from people.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know anything about it, but it's funny, because like we're joking about Radical Heights, and there was another piece of news that occurred this week that's sort of relevant to the whole Cliffy B thing. Steam Spy got blocked by Steam. Did you see
Oh, that's
this, Ryan?
right. That's right. That's right.
And because devs have complained that Steam Spy has had like this sort of effect where people cite Steam Spy numbers and use it to sort of negatively bash a game and be like, "Oh, why are you playing this game? Nobody's playing it." Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers, and it sort of has this negative meme effect on the game. And Steam Spy was specifically blamed as contributing to Lawbreakers' struggles.
right.
So they blocked it. And now we don't know who's playing what when on Steam anymore. How do you feel about that? Do we deserve to know?
Well,
the people deserve to know.
First off, I actually missed a couple super chats, so I got to shout out Ravenflow. He said he agrees with you for optional crossplay, which I agree with you as well. And also from Ravenflow, he says Rand should have been on the Ultimate Gamer Show, and that's how Swoozie and Prodigy got known. I don't know who Swoozie is, but I do know who Prodigy is.
I don't know who they are. Or what Ultimate Gamer is.
So let's see. I liked Steam sales just to see kind of get a reference of how games sold. And it was nice to have like a database for the collection of that, because it's hard enough getting straight numbers from the video game industry. It's very different from other industries. Like the movie industry is like upfront about what they sell. They brag, like Disney and Marvel will brag, oh, Black Panther, biggest movie ever, and now they're bragging about how the pre-sales of Avengers, and we find out that weekend like how much the movie did, but we rarely find out like the total sales of a game. It's only when like the publisher wants to share information about it. So it was nice.
There's like a huge milestone, like Rainbow Six Siege just hit 30 million.
Yeah, and so it was nice to see all these games on Steam, from the big AAAs all the way down to the small indies. And I think there are some that benefited from Steam sales being known. Like people are like, oh my God, look how much this game sold. I need to check it out. But I'm sure there was also some instances where it was like, I ain't playing that stinker. Lawbreakers did kind of suffer from that a bit. It was one of the most public failures of a game I've ever seen. People were constantly talking about its player-based numbers and how they were dwindling, and that kind of information doesn't make new players want to buy the game if they feel there's this nobody's going to be playing it, right? So there's kind of like the yin and the yang. It's good in some aspects, but also can have a bad effect. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays along and why Steam did it. I mean, it's been like, what, how long has that site been up? 3-4 years? So if they really did it because devs were angry, it sure took them a long time. Or maybe Steam's going to come out with their own thing. I mean, who knows? It's just, I don't know, man. Like, it's an end of an era there. But back to the Radical Heights thing, the Battle Royale genre. Dude, is this just going to be crowded pretty soon, is it not? I mean...
Yeah, it's for a little while. Do you remember, like, Overwatch came out, and then... what was it called now? Battleborn came out, and for a few moments it looked like every game was going to be an Overwatch clone for the next year, but that died quickly, and there's only really Overwatch and TF2 left, and not a huge amount of people play TF2 anymore. Well, at least not on consoles, but it didn't. It all went Battle Royale. And do you see the Path of Exile's April Fool's joke? Path of Exile Battle Royale. It's hilarious. Apparently it was pretty good too.
And the Halo Battle Royale thing too? The April Fool's joke on that?
I didn't see that.
They announced that in the Halo Reddit. It was like an April Fool's thing by 343 themselves. It's kind of funny. Halo BR. battle royale. But it's going to be such a crowded genre. You have PUBG and Fortnite.
I'm already bored of it. You know, I'm not a huge fan of battle royale because I'm such an impatient gamer, and like I don't like how in PUBG sometimes it's smarter to hide. You know, if you want to win, that's a conflict of interest for me. You know, I like to play aggressive, but the problem is playing aggressive is often the wrong way to play. You know, like in Battlefield 1, I play aggressive, it's fine because I just respawn. But man, I just too impatient for PUBG, and Fortnite just looks like a kid's game, so I don't even touch that.
I mean,
but
we have this game. Paladins is having a mode later on this year. The rumors about Red Dead, Call of Duty already has one in China. Like, who knows how many of these modes and stuff and games we'll have. I mean, there's other games on PC like Island of the Nine and stuff. That's like, man, there's gonna be so many games of the genre.
Like, I know it's an April Fool's joke, but seriously, would Battle Royale work for Halo?
Yes, I think it'll. Yeah, because Halo has great movement. Halo has great guns, and I think it totally could work. You know, they would have to change some things, but I think it works better than say Crackdown, because I've seen people want Crackdown Battle Royale. I don't think Crackdown would work in Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, cloud-powered destruction. That'd be crazy mayhem.
Yeah, but the whole idea of Battle Royale, like, I don't know, like the fact that Crackdown has lock-on aiming, it's like, well,
does it have lock-on aiming in PvP? Surely not.
Maybe not. But I mean, I think any game can work in BR. You know, people. I remember having this conversation when Titanfall came out, and it was just multiplayer only. And I was like, dude, I want a single player from these devs, and they're like, I don't know, man, how would that work? And I'm like, it doesn't really matter how it works. That's up for the game developers to figure out. But like, these are the people who made the Modern Warfare series. And sure enough, they made a single player campaign, one of the best of this gen. It's like any game could be made to BR to work. It's just up to the game developers to figure out how. You know, so I have the utmost confidence that Halo can work in Battle Royale if they give it the time and money and play testing it needs to be a success. Any game basically could. You know, Gears of War probably could. They might have to change some things.
Rock Battle Royale with dinosaurs. I want that. XCOM Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
Where you have to wait for 99 people to take a turn before you can move. No, that's a bad idea. I shouldn't be a game dev.
But one last topic before we get out of here and maybe take some questions. God of War, Jez. I'm sure you saw the review scores today.
I did. I am shocked that it did so well.
I'm not. I predicted
that was sarcasm.
Oh, okay. Well, did you see my video from today, by chance?
No, but the title looks a bit clickbaity.
Oh, it was total clickbait, but it was a sarcasm video. The video is a whole joke from the title to what's in the video, because I like giving like, when will the bias media stop selling their games for Sony? This is a milk franchise that has 25 games and it's the best ever.
You know what you should do, Rand? You should make a Francis-like personality.
Francis, huh?
Yeah, you should do like a video series where you just sort of meme it up, like Alex PSX says.
Well, here's the thing. So a lot of people, of course, it was served a couple purposes. I wanted to do something a little bit different than I normally do. And a lot of people said, hey, it was like my favorite video you ever done. And then I got some interesting feedback saying like, this video didn't need to be made, and here's why. And I always take the feedback I get on my videos seriously, and I get the people who didn't like it. But clearly, I mean, it was like, I want to do something funny and different than rather just, oh, look at the God of War reviews. And I wanted to see how many people actually watch my videos for any sort of length of time. So it served two purposes. Purposes, right? Purposes. Can't even speak right now. But like, if you look at the like to dislike ratio, those dislikes on that vid. And granted, yeah, the joke goes on for 4 minutes, and maybe I went a little bit too long there. But like, if you couldn't tell I was like making fun of the whole situation, from the title to the thumbnail to like what I was saying in the first like 10 seconds, I don't know. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, people. Just listen.
People don't get sarcasm, man. They don't get
I
it.
I was being very sarcastic. I said there's no creature in Norse mythology greater than than the Kraken in Sea of Thieves. I mean, come on. I mean, what else do I need to say? Like, I was like, no, this game shouldn't get good review scores because you can't jump in it. Like, I was basically going for all the
You can't jump in it.
no, you can't jump in the new God of War.
0 out of 10.
Yeah,
Can you?
but I'm just
Can
saying.
you fish in it?
So I wanted to see how many people would actually watch the video because, of course, I don't keep up the joke for long. And man, like some people in the comments are like, I was gonna hate you for this, but then I finished, and and a good video, and like, dude, like just look now. Last time I looked, it was like 800 likes and like 300 dislikes. I was like, holy crap, But I just wanted to make a fun video.
Randall controversy.
Randall controversy. So
Sure,
I
man.
can't wait to play this game. I know you can. This would be like your first PlayStation game as well. Is your PlayStation? Are you really looking forward to this?
Game. First PlayStation 4 game. First of all, Ravenflow sent you a super chat for $2.
Oh yeah, I see. I have chat up, but I didn't see. Oh yeah, Ravenflow, thanks for the super chat. Spider-Man and Crackdown predictions, Rand. 89 for Spider-Man. Crackdown.
Go on.
Crackdown 65.
Oh, really?
70, low 70.
65?
I mean, that's what Sea of Thieves is at, right? 69ish.
Sea of Thieves is 70, I think.
Either way, some low 70s, high 60s.
Some biased media gave Sea of Thieves a positive score, so I think it slipped above 70. Those biased
and
media.
Don Julio says, "Don't listen to them Rand video was a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and you expose fanboys too." I just wanted to do something a little bit different. Maybe it didn't work for some people, and I've talked to those people that thought that, but these reviews,
you are a hero. You are a hero, Rand.
Dude. Like some of these reviews are just glowing praise. Like it makes me so excited to play it next week, and I can't wait to see what you think about it.
Yeah, man. I'm still the dilemma I've got with the PlayStation 4 is: do I get the Pro just for playing exclusives?
Yes.
Well, Rand, you got yours for free.
I mean, true, but my buddy Gopher just bought a Pro just for God of War and Spider-Man in the upcoming games. Like, and not to mention the games coming next year, like Days Gone and Last of Us and Death Stranding. I mean, I think you can get a good deal for. I don't know. Do what you want, but
I don't know, man. Because honestly, I'm probably only going to use it for exclusives. I'm not going to use it for multiplayer.
No, I mean, I don't use the PlayStation for any multiplats.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do, man. And also the thing that bothers me about the Pro is that it's so huge. It take up so much space when I'm only going to use it for multiplats and stuff. That's my issue. So I don't know, man. I mean, how likely is it that they'll release a PS4 Pro Slim?
That's the thing. I mean, there's rumors, but I don't think it's. I mean, it's possible they do it at the end of this year, but I don't know. I mean, it is kind of a little bit bulky, but I think it's worth. I mean, look, I think it's whether you get the Pro or the PS4.
People are saying I'm biased because I don't like how big it is. Wow, you guys are just crack me up.
Just get the system, whether it's the base one or the Pro. Just play,
Yeah, well, I'm biased, man. I'm biased.
So, Jez, it's late for Jez. We're gonna take some questions really quick, and then we'll get out of here. But yeah, I can't wait for God of War, man. Like Far Cry 5 is a game I legit loved, and I was like, man, it's gonna be tough for any game to like kind of pass this up for me. Sounds like God of War might be that game,
Yeah, God of War does look awesome. I mean, and what was that zombie game? Days Gone.
Days Gone. That's next year.
Yeah, that looks awesome too. And also, I've never played The Last of Us. How sad.
John Dillinger wants to know, Ashen, any news? I did see that the game has kind of been confirmed for 2018 and it has co-op. It seems like a lot of positive impressions out of PAX. And Jazz, you played it last year.
I loved it. It was my game of show at E3. I played a lot of Ashen at E3 and I loved it. I'm very, very excited for that game. Um, I don't think the co-op was working at E3, or at least it wasn't for me. But man, I'm really excited for that game.
Yeah, the
I
game.
think it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, the game looks. The game looks really good. What else we got here? Virgil wants to know if you've started Telltale Batman yet, like you said you would last week.
No, no, I'm sorry. I bought it though. I bought it, but I haven't started it yet.
It was ended up really
Yeah.
good. I finished it. I got Vigilante Joker, so it was a Joker that took after Batman and wanted to be a vigilante hero instead of villain. It was pretty cool. It was a very very good origin story for the Joker. Great one of the better Telltale games in recent memories. I really like that. Ermi wants to know new Splinter Cell exclusive.
Ooh, I
I
doubt it.
I doubt it would be exclusive, but there has to be a new Splinter Cell. They just brought Michael Ironside. He was on Inside Xbox to talk about him returning to the character. They're not going to do that for like a 20-minute mission in Ghost Recon, right? This has to be leading to a reveal at E3 this year of him returning to the character and Splinter Cell getting a new game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
It has to be. But like, I also heard that he originally turned down the role, so I imagine he's pretty expensive.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
If they include him in the, the new game, I think it probably wouldn't be exclusive. They'll want to recoup their investment. And what intrigues me more about potential Splinter Cell, right, is what format do they go with? Because I thought like the more recent Splinter Cell games were sort of, they put stealth on the back seat a bit, right? Is that fair to say?
Conviction did, but Blacklist was really good. I mean, it lets you play
See,
anyway.
I played. That was the last one I played was Conviction. So I
Blacklist,
guess.
Blacklist, I stealthed the whole thing. Like they let you play in 3 different play styles, and it was very easy, to actually just stealth through it all.
Oh, okay. Well, what I'm wondering is do they go the Hitman route and sort of have this sort of live service? Because that's what Ubisoft seems to be all about now, is creating a live service and then upselling on top of that live service. And like,
Well, they do have the
they,
multiplayer to do it for this game, Spies versus Mercs. You know,
yeah,
so they
I
very
think,
well could.
yeah,
They,
I think I'd like the Hitman format where it's just like a episode, maybe not episodic, but like they just a lot of potential to keep it going. I don't know.
Someone asked, I can't find it, but he wanted to know if you'd play Last of Us.
Uh, no, I haven't. I haven't played Last of Us. It's sad. I didn't have a PlayStation 3.
But now, if
Um,
you have the PlayStation 4, you can play the remaster.
I will. That's part of
Yeah,
the
it was the
reason I want to get.
Ravenflow. He wants to know
Yeah,
if you play Last of
I
Us.
will. I mean, Last of Us almost pushed me over to getting a PS3 Slim last gen, but it was another case of, backlog first,
Right.
and I didn't have as much money then either back then.
Rated Demonic wants to know Halo 6, Gears 5, question mark, announcements or trailers at E3. I think Halo 6 gets finally announced and there'll be a trailer. I think it comes out next year. I don't think Gears 5 will be hinted at anyway. Although I do think there'll be a Gears game that will be their trailer form. Maybe even gameplay.
Ooh,
What
yeah,
do
the
you think?
first guys. Well, I'll defer to you, man. I mean, I don't know anything about what's going on in Microsoft Studios. Um, I don't know what the state of play is where it comes to Halo or Gears. So I have no idea. I think like I some people were expecting Halo this year just because that's the Halo cycle, but I don't think we're getting Halo this year.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Insomnitech wants to know if I'll go back to Sea of Thieves once the new content is out. Well, I guess it depends on what the new content is. I mean, if it's just pets that you can buy, no. I keep up with what they're doing. I have to wait and see what the content is before I mean, plus I got to get my friends to want to play, and if it's meaningful content,
You always
then
play with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, but I think we're always on at different times, though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Um,
that is a problem.
Ryan wants to know, do you think they'll release a Spider-Man themed Pro or Slim? I think they'll absolutely release a Spider-Man themed console, whether it's the Pro or the Slim. They always do for these games. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a themed console for both the Pro and the Slim, considering how big of a character Spider-Man is. What do you think, Jez?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Spider-Man's a huge selling point just because it's Spider-Man, but throw in a good game on top, and you've got a winner there. So I think they'll
Yeah,
do. They should do it. I just hope it's good. And again, I'm gonna get called biased for this, but man, I really think Sony's custom consoles and controllers have just been so weak
I
compared
agree with
to
you.
Xbox. I don't care if people say I'm biased about that because they just slap sticker on it and call it a day. Whereas Xbox like laser etches the controllers and adds effects and like they even add Easter eggs and stuff like that to their stuff. So I'm not optimistic about what they're gonna do there, but we'll wait and
And
see. Again.
last question we'll take from Sam. He wants to know, what is the best game being shown at E3 this year, and why is it Cyberpunk 2077?
Oh man, Cyberpunk is it's gonna steal the show. I just know it. I don't
I
think I don't think I don't I mean there are companies that I just don't trust anymore. EA is one of them. Like I have my expectations for Anthem, but are like pretty low because of the way Battlefront was handled, because of all the other stuff EA have been doing. But CD Projekt Red haven't really done anything that made me sad ever. So I got pretty high hopes for that.
okay.
Um,
I got maybe two choices to like, and I'm not gonna say Cyberpunk because I kind of agree with you, right? Um, so I'm not gonna mention that. One would be, and I'm not sure they'll show this, but I think Fable 4 or whatever the new Fable is from Playground Games could be one of those games that really is like a wow, right? But I'm not sure they're going to show it. So I'm going to mention this other game, which I'm pretty sure is going to be there, and that's Starfield. From
Starfield. I was trying to remember the name
Bethesda.
of that earlier.
Yeah, like
Do we know anything about Starfield?
not really, but
I've heard space MMO.
I don't know anything about Starfield. But supposedly it's Todd Howard's team. It's their big new IP. I
Multiplayer though, right?
I have a big I'm pretty sure that it's going to be revealed this year. And I bet Bethesda's conference will revolve around it. Um, but yeah, I think that could kind of steal the show. Maybe.
We'll see. I mean, I'm intrigued by that. Just the title.
I know, right? Starfield. It's like,
It has to be sci-fi. And like we've seen Todd Howard's team do medieval. We've seen them do post-apocalypse. We've never really. I mean, Fallout touches on sci-fi, but it's usually in a comedic way with like aliens and that sort of thing. So I do want to see. I do want to see that team do something fresh, and I'm intrigued. Starfield just sounds intriguing,
I know, right?
mysterious.
Lu-
Starfield.
Lumi says, there could be more games. I mean, hell, finally seeing what the gameplay is for Death Stranding. Since we don't know what that is, that could
You know,
blow
it'd be really
people's
funny
minds.
if like Death Stranding just ends up being a walking simulator or something
Yeah.
like that.
And
That'd be so
Lumi says,
fun.
"What about Last of Us Part 2?" Of course. I mean, we've seen gameplay trailers or at least cinematics previously, but like Starfield's like one of those things where it's like you don't know anything about the game. Oh, the your imagination runs wild. At least with Last of Us Part 2, you know what to expect. You know, like there's a bit of mystery surrounding not only Starfield but as well, Death Stranding as well. So that's why it's like one of those things where, and Cyberpunk for quite frankly, like Jez was saying, it's like, yeah, you don't know what to expect. I mean, we don't know what the game looks like, how it plays like, so it's like these kind of unknowns that get people really excited. Where Last of Us 2 is a very known quantity.
Yes.
But anyways, guys, that is the show for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. For everybody on YouTube that posted a comment, and for those that used the super chat to show their support. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it on social media. If you're listening to this later on iTunes and Google Play or anywhere else, we really appreciate it. Make sure you leave us a review and rate the show. As always, Jez's information is in the description. Follow him on Twitter. What do you got going on for the rest of the week, Jez? You working on anything for Windows Central?
I am actually in charge of Windows Central next week for a lot of the week because my boss is on vacation. So that's going to be fun. So I'm actually not probably not doing anything major next week. Might review some accessories, that sort of thing, but nothing hugely interesting. I've been digging for leaks, digging, but not really gotten anything recently, which is really annoying. If anyone's watching this and wants to leak me something, go right ahead. My Twitter's in the description, but
that's right.
But it's pretty quiet. It's always kind of quiet this time of year. I mean, people are just a lot of the news that we get is just rumors and stuff like that. Although there should be some interesting stuff coming soon, and I actually, just as we've been talking, I've just heard something interesting for Xbox fans, especially if you use the movies and TV stuff.
Interesting. Well, maybe tune in next week to find out what it is. But anyways, guys, that is the show. Hope you all enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter for the Hellblade giveaway. That is still going on and all that good stuff. And we'll see everybody next week for another Xbox 2 podcast. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of the week. Later.
We love you.